Oh,
Oh,
look at this. Look at this.
I dressed the whole background, Sammy. There's like a cool wizard's orb over here that's reflecting light. You need to at least mention that.
All right, I will.
All right.
So,
Have fun, guys.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh man, getting into trouble already before this thing got started. Yo, welcome to my summer lair. I'm your host, Sammy. I'm not quite as popular as Pac-Man Yunnan. You may know Jeff Sinasac as a nerdy Troy McClure. As an actor, he's popped up in Season 4 of Killjoys, Season 3 of Titans, Season 2 of The Boys, and Code 8. Or you may know him as the writer and director of Red Spring in Apocalypse, pitting survivors against mutated vampires. Well, now he's back with another Apocalypse. This one is in a video game. Stop the Saturnians is available on Steam as of February 18. I'll provide a link in the show notes, but feel free to ask the oracle we all call Google. Stop the Saturnians is a classic style arcade video game. Our conversation references, ready for this list? Missile Command, Space Invaders, Asteroids, Galaga, Centipedes, and of course the classic Atari 2600. If you die, humanity dies. The pressure is on in this video game. Are you up to the challenge? All right, now, this scene of exposition is over, so let's get into the conversation with Jeff and learn how we can stop the Saturnians. Before we get into video games, let's talk TV, because you've been busy in the last couple of years. You've been on Titans, you've been on The Boys. What is that experience like to step into those like strange, dark worlds?
It's been awesome, especially the Boys. When you mentioned a dark world, I mean, my role in The Boys was hacking a man's arm off with a machete, and that was a real machete. It wasn't a real arm, thank God, but it was an arm attached to an actor. So I was swinging a machete within, I don't know, 18 to 20 inches of this guy's head. Mm-hmm. And with a camera on one side, if I miss by a fraction of an inch, I'm going to chop off the camera lens and get sued. If I miss it by a fraction on the right, I'm going to hospitalize somebody. So that was a nerve-wracking experience. But I've loved all of the sci-fi worlds I've gotten to step into. Killjoys as well was an absolute dream. Aaron Ashmore was awesome to work with. So yeah, I've been very blessed in the last few years for sure.
Is it strange acting in the time of COVID? Because you've been doing this for a while now, so you know the transition of like what it was like before.
Yeah.
Before COVID, and then now like the way it is now.
The industry has changed. My role on Titans was not huge. I had a single day on Titans, but for that job, I had to do 13 separate COVID-19 tests. Wow. With a 2-hour commute there, take a 5-minute test, 2-hour commute home. 13 times just to get on set for a day. So it's definitely changed. I didn't mind. They paid me for it, but yeah, that's changed. Also, in terms of actors in their day-to-day life, we used to have to go into auditions. 3-4 times a week, I'd have to make a commute somewhere for an audition. But now it's 100% self-taped. So you're just doing it in your own living room, which I love. A lot of actors are not loving it because it means a lot more people are getting seen. So I guess it means less opportunity on an individual level if you've been quite successful to date. Mm-hmm. But I love it. It's been very relaxing. You can correct yourself if you make a mistake. You can just do as many takes as you want until you send it in. So it's been COVID is not a dream. Let's be clear about that. But the new style of auditioning.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, because it has impacted the industry. Like I've been impatiently waiting for Orville season 3, right? And I know, right? And I know that show has that show, right? But it has actors with like prosthetics, which is very intimate. Like you got to put all that stuff on, and the makeup lady's right there. You're shooting stuff, like, and you're very like. I know it's still a large set, but like you're on the bridge and you're in smaller rooms sometimes, depending on the ship or whatever. If you're in prison, right? So I understand like. Seth MacFarlane's been talking like we're working on it, like be patient, and I get it because it's like that's what I mean, like in terms of COVID, that's like you can feel the impact of shows like that as you kind of impatiently wait for them.
I'm assuming they're handling it the same way in the States as they are here. Those people are tested constantly, so presumably they're getting on set without any real risk. And I can also say when you're not in front of the camera, your mask is on at all times, so it literally comes off right before you step on set, and you put it back on as soon as you leave, and you get an earful if you forget for 3-4 steps. Believe me. So
yeah.
It should be relatively safe, but it's slowing things down. If any of them do get sick, or just test positive, even falsely, obviously your shooting schedule is now held up for a few days while you resolve the outcome of that.
Yeah. But yeah, you are looking forward to season 3 of Orville, eh?
I can't wait. Yes,
Yeah.
love that show.
But we're not going to talk about those aliens today. We're going to talk about some other aliens from Saturn.
Yes.
And why are aliens in your video game hell-bent on our destruction, on humanity's destruction?
You've asked me one question I've never dwelt on. They just are, because it's the conceit of the game that Saturnians are attacking. I would assume they want the resources on the planet, and they don't mind killing all of us to get to it. The precise why is never gone into. It's more the holy crap, look how many are coming at us scenario for now. If there's a sequel, maybe we'll expand into why. For now, it's just, can we survive this is the name of the game. Well, not the name of the game, but the gist of the game.
Yeah, it's to stop the Centurions, from obviously destroying us. And you have a great line. If you die, humanity dies. That's the message for the game. That's the message for the kids.
Yes, for sure. It's intentionally built to have sort of a lot of games of this nature. It's a shoot 'em up, a shmup. But a lot of the games of this nature involve you have to kill the aliens and dodge the aliens. But here you have to kill the aliens, you have to dodge when they're firing at you, but you also can't let too much get past you, because, as it says, if the Earth dies, well, you've got nowhere to go and you're dead. And if you die, there's no one left to defend the Earth, so the Earth is dead. So you've sort of got two different entities you're always protecting, yourself and the planet below you.
Isn't that a lot of pressure for a cadet? You start off as a cadet in the game.
You do. The conceit there is that when the first aliens approached Earth sent its best pilots out to meet them and hopefully parlay a diplomatic resolution, and instead they all got blown out of the sky, and you are literally the last one left who's even trained in a simulator. So you have no combat experience, and there are very literally thousands, if not tens of thousands, of technologically superior entities coming at you. So one of the lines in the trailer and in the game is one of the characters remarks, so thousands against one, we're going to get our asses kicked, aren't we? And the other guy says, yeah, that outcome seems likely. And it is. It's intentionally a tough game, multiple difficulty levels, so you can play it at easier difficulty if you're finding it too challenging. But it's intentionally meant to be something you replay to try to beat it, to try to beat it, to try to beat it.
How do you determine that level of difficulty you're talking about? How do you determine what the difficulty level is for a game like this? Because you're designing the game, right? So how do you decide how much time it takes and effort it takes to kill a big boss, for example, right? You have the Hornet ships, the Hornet destroyer ships. So how much time and effort, or how do you determine what the skill level and the difficulty is?
There are two answers for that for me. I play test the hell out of it. I haven't been doing as much lately as I get towards the end of the development, but for a great deal of months, I would play 3, 4, 5 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And obviously if it was too challenging for me, I would tone it down. If it was too easy for me, I would tone it up. So in that way, I sort of got a baseline for what I considered an appropriate challenge. But of course, as you mentioned, I'm the designer. So, and somebody who plays multiple hours a day. So I obviously got very good at the game. So I couldn't rely on my own judgment there. And thankfully, I had a lot of playtesters who stepped up. And to be honest, to a man, they all said, wow, this is hard. This is hard. That's why I introduced the difficulty levels. Before that, it was just going to have one flat difficulty. And I figured, true shoot 'em up people will be better than me. Yeah. I'm not a great gamer. I'm a mediocre gamer. But now, if that's the case, there are, as I said, 5 difficulty levels, with the original intentional level of difficulty that I put in there is the normal baseline. So you can go 2 levels below that or 2 levels above that if you're a much better player than me. I can't survive past level 2 out of 25 on the hardest difficulty. Mm-hmm. But I had some players initially tell me they were having trouble getting off level 1 on the normal difficulty. So I toned it way back for the easier levels, the easier difficulty levels.
Yeah, so you've been designing games for a little while, but you generally create RPGs, right? That's role-playing games for noobs like me. So what prompted that creative shift? This is more arcade, I guess. Is that the technical term? What prompted that shift? It is an arcade.
It does, for the record, still have RPG elements in that while you are fighting the enemies, you are gathering resources from them. And in between missions, you can spend those resources to evolve your ship in whatever way you see fit. But it's definitely much more of a Twitch reflex style game. The rationale was several-fold. The first was during myself with a lot of spare time on my hands, as I think a lot of us did. And I found various ways to self-improve. I started learning a new language. I started not just coding language, but I was learning Japanese for a while. I started working on some old video games.
Wait, how's the Japanese going?
I worked on it for about 6 weeks and got to the point where I could have a very basic conversation. And then I got sidetracked by this, and I touched space with it still every once in a while using Rosetta Stone. I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
But I'm watching some anime once in a while. I'm like, I know that word, but that's about it.
Okay.
Aside from that, though, when I was working on the game, I wanted to learn a new language, Unity and C#, because I wanted to upgrade those old skills. And while I was at that, I was watching some tutorials, especially those by my brother. He actually teaches game design at Centennial College. So he had some tutorials on Unity up, and those were all about sort of platform gaming. I'm not into platform gaming, but I realized after going through 5 or 6 of his tutorials that the lessons I had learned just in that short bit of time would allow me to make this style of game. And when I was a kid, I was really heavily into the arcade style games. And I've been programming for 35 years, games. And when I first started, that was my dream, was to make a game like Galaga or Galaxian or something. And I just sort of got sidetracked into a bunch of turn-based stuff. So I suddenly realized, hey, I have the tools now to make my 9-year-old self squeal with delight of the game I could make. So that's why I turned my attention in this direction.
Yeah, you mentioned your brother's into game design or teaches game design. And you mentioned like Galaga, like Asteroids. You look at this game too, you can see some Space Invaders as well. I guess you guys spent like a lot of that youth playing video games. Were that some of the favorite games that you guys played growing up?
Yeah, there's definitely some intentional design associations with, I've married in some Asteroids, some Galaga, some Centipede, because there are centipede-shaped aliens that come down, and asteroids that pummel the Earth, and even some pinball, because there are sort of force fields on either that flank the screen, and when things hit them, they bounce off. So I tried to marry in as much of the style of games I loved as a kid. But yeah, for sure, those ones, and Missile Command as well, because there are literally missiles coming down to hit the Earth and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you also got like your ship has a shield as well, which is classic Star Trek, right? The shields are failing.
Yes, and a lot of other arcade games, like Phoenix was a classic arcade game that had a shield. So I wanted to incorporate that. Actually, to be honest, the initial incorporation of that was not meant to be a gameplay element. It was purely that when you respawn, I didn't want you to instantly respawn and get killed by something that would happen to be right in front of you. So I said, okay, you have a shield for 2 seconds when you respawn. And then I realized, hey, what if I could toggle this on and off? And hey, what if we could upgrade the shield so it lasts longer, can be used more frequently? And that's where all the RPG elements sort of came into play.
Yeah, and so just continuing that thread then, like on the left side of the screen is infrastructure, and there's an image of Earth.
Yeah.
What does that symbolize? What does that mean?
That is the health of the planet. As things get past you, not everything's trying to get past you. Like a lot of the aliens are there intentionally just to kill you, and their laser bolts won't hurt the Earth. But that's missiles and asteroids and comets and that sort of thing are constantly descending on you as well. And each one of those that manages to get past you is going to impact the Earth and lower its health by a certain amount. And if its health reaches 0, it's game over no matter how many player ships you have left. And as your ship takes damage, you'll blow up. And if you still have another ship in reserve, it'll come into play a few seconds later. But when you run out of ships, it's also game over. So that's what I was talking about earlier with the sort of dual attention you need to pay. You can't allow yourself to be put in harm's way, but you also can't allow too much to get past you. So you're always juggling those two aspects. And when you're improving stuff as well with, as I said, there are some RPG elements. You can also pump points into the infrastructure to give you more of a buffer there, or into other means of defending the Earth. So it's not all about your ship. It's about keeping both of those things alive.
Whoa, that's a lot. So then, and on the right side is alien tech. What kind of gear is that?
So every time you kill anything, it doesn't always, but it can pop out things called resources, which are these little diamonds that you can, if you ram into them, you collect. Every time you kill any sort of alien technology, which is a ship or a missile, it can also pop out alien tech, which looks like a little computer that you can fly into and grab. That's the points you have to spend in between missions. So it's not, you have 2 different resources. One of them actually called resources, one of them called alien tech. You use the alien tech to research how to do things, and then you use the resources to actually implement those things. So you're also, in addition to protecting yourself, protecting the Earth, you're also trying to frantically grab as much of this stuff as you can. Within limits. You also have a cargo bay and a computer system on your ship that can only collect so much in a given mission. But again, those are some of the things you can upgrade. If you choose to spend your tech and your resources there, then hey, you have a bigger cargo bay, you can collect more resources on the next mission, provided they pop out and provided you can actually grab them.
So, and assuming you can get past the big boss, you can juggle all these things and like pay attention and get past the big boss. How many levels for this thing are we talking? How many levels did you design?
There are 25 separate levels, each of which throws new challenges at you. And to be clear, they're not pre-designed in the sense of, say, a lot of old arcade games would have specific, okay, these aliens come in here and they fly in this pattern. everything is procedurally generated. So it has a table of these are the potential aliens that could show up at this mission. Which one are we going to send at you? And sort of a background game director that's watching the pace of things to say, let's not get too overwhelming, but let's not let it slack too much. So it also determines when they come in. But yeah, there are 25 different levels with altogether, if you count all the variations of them, 40 plus. But that said, if you manage to beat the single big boss, the final big boss on level 25, you then have an option. You can either retire, at which point your score gets boosted by 50% and you're done. Or you can say, I'm going to keep playing a second war when they reinvade and they're coming at you with better tech and they're stronger and more numerous and faster. And you're keeping everything you've unlocked so far. And you see how high a score you can get. I mean, if you keep doing that, it'll never end. If you beat the second war, you can go to a third, you can go to a 10th, you can go to a 20th, if you had ungodly arcade skills. But there is both a high score table for yourself to keep track of things and an online leaderboard with Steam, so you can compete against the rest of the world to say how high a score can I get. And if you play at easier difficulties, it is easier, but the score also gets lower. If you play the harder difficulties, it's a lot harder, but the score is elevated. So you're also juggling which difficulty is best for me to rank highest in the world.
How are you juggling all these elements? Like, I know you have a background, like you directed film, you've directed shorts, did all these kind of things, but like mentally, how do you balance all these different kind of elements to bring them all together? In film, you generally have like storyboards, you have a script, you have these kind of things to kind of keep you on course and going straight forward. Right. And so even if you're shooting things out of sequence, out of the out of the screenplay sequence, like, this is the scene where you're sad and then the next scene you're happy, right? Like, you know exactly where you are in the story. So I'm just curious how you mentally kind of like kept all this kind of going, knowing that it's a kind of a different experience than making a film.
Well, the good news is I had a year really to do it. I started working on this in February of last year, and we're approaching, in February or March will be the release. So I was able to do it iteratively. I mean, I started off with the idea of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if asteroids are coming down at you and I don't want invisible walls at the end of the screen. So we'll actually put in visible walls and we'll have the asteroids bounce off, and hey, that's kind of cool and arcadey. And then I thought, okay, I can do asteroids. How can I have the challenge? Hey, I could do missiles. They'll do more damage, but they're easier to blow up and they fly faster. Okay, we can do that. Hey, let's add some alien ships. And then one by one, I would literally build a level, play it until I got to that level and be like, okay, I want to keep playing the game. What should I add into the game next? And I'd make up a new alien and then put it in and test it and modify it until I was satisfied. And then, hey, what's the next alien? So that was the longest process, actually. It was a number of months where, okay, I can play to level 3, but that's as far as the game goes. Okay, I can play to level 4 as far as the game goes. And then day after day doing all the graphics and that sort of thing and all the sound effects myself. Each new alien took, a week or two of work to really finesse and get working properly.
Well, that's crazy. So almost what you're saying, it's like the analogy is like you're shooting a movie, but every day you would basically write the script.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
And then you'd go then shoot it, right? Like, rather than having a script up front and then deciding like budgets and locations, whatever. Like, you just get up every day, you write up the script, we're going to shoot this stuff. And so it's the same thing what you're saying, like, all right, we're going to create these aliens. So then you spend some time work on these aliens and then you put them into like level 3 or level 4 and off you go.
Yeah, that's basically how it worked. Analogy of script is not entirely flawless, only because even as a player, which aliens actually show up is sort of randomly generated behind the scene. So you're not saying this is what's going to happen in this scene. You're saying this is the realm of possibility for the scene, and let's see what the computer does. And then you test that.
Yeah, and so there is obviously some plotting as well, like in the game where like you have exposition scenes which kind of move it along. You have characters like Major Westra, and is that type of plotting and that exposition, is that kind of different in how you approach it, knowing like, because you worked on a film Red Spring, right, which is a vampire apocalypse. That's another apocalypse, right, where like,
true.
where like humanity's fate is like hanging by a thread. So is that kind of similar in terms of the way that you plot those two things, like a movie and a video game, or is it completely different?
I mean, the actual exposition scenes are kind of similar. There's only a few exposition scenes at the beginning of the game to introduce these characters to you, and at the end of the game, if you're victorious, they'll meet up and talk. That said, they also talk to you throughout. You don't necessarily see them, but they give me 1 second. My cat is going nuts at the door. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Sorry, letting my cat in because she's going nuts.
What's the name of the cat?
This is Curie. We have 2 of them, Curie and Lennius. This one will only go nuts if you shut a door on her. And now she's going to, in a moment, go nuts to be let back out. But what can you do?
Cats.
Yeah. So yeah, there's two major characters, and they constantly talk to you during the game, and there's sort of random elements again as to what they will say and when they will say it, and they react to what's going on. So if an alien, say, flies in a bad pattern and rams into its own missile and blows itself up, one of them may laugh and point that out. Or there's more serious stuff where it's like when a new alien shows up, they're like, oh my God, that's X, and this is the problem you're going to face with it. So it's both juggling information that is useful to the player, letting you know when your resource, when your cargo bay is full, so you don't keep trying to grab resources when you can't. And things like just making jokes or panicking. They panic as things go really bad, and they start worrying aloud. Especially Ellie actually has two cats. That's one of the characters. So she worries about her cats constantly and talks about them all the time. So you have two realized characters, but it's random how they sort of interact with you. And hopefully they're there to entertain and to keep the plot moving.
Yeah, and so for people that don't know, explain who Ellie is as well. Just give a little bit of background of her.
So the two main characters you deal with are Ellie and Major Westra. I voiced Major Westra myself. My wife kindly voiced Ellie. And Ellie is the girl who first discovered the Saturnians. She had a backyard telescope and saw them and thought, this is really cool, and didn't say anything to anybody until the aliens started coming towards Earth. And she's like, oh my God, I got to alert the authorities. And that's when... So she's kind of kicking herself because she spent months studying these things and not bothering to tell anybody. And now it's potentially the fate of the world in the balance. So she's roped into this entire process only because ostensibly she knows the most about the aliens, although she wasn't monitoring them for their warlike capacity. She was watching their television broadcasts of sitcoms and that kind of stuff. And then you have Major Westra, who's actually in charge of the defense of the Earth. And he's a neat character because he, not only is he very militant and very to the point, but he also gets increasingly jealous as you play because you're getting all this praise heaped upon you and you're rising up through the ranks, and eventually you're at the same rank as him, despite the fact that he took 25 years to get there and you've taken 2 weeks. And then he gets angrier and angrier as you get past. You start getting drunk and this kind of thing and upset. So like I said, they're there both to entertain and to keep the plot moving.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned Ellie and her love of sitcoms. In some of the exposition and some of the commentary, as you said, can we expect some jokes, some wink, some Easter eggs, anything like that are layered throughout the game?
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes, especially because I had to make so many random things they could say in reaction to so many specific scenarios. So I want to make sure that when they say something, it's either impactful or funny, especially when it's something weird, like you see an alien shooting another alien and blowing it out of the sky, and they'll laugh at it and mock it. So there's constant humor peppered throughout.
And so how did you feel after designing this game? Like you said, you've been designing games for a little while, but this was a bit more of an ambitious project. So coming off the other side now, how do you feel? Do you feel like you've accomplished something? You want to do more? You want to build on this? How do you feel?
All of the above. I'm very proud of it. I think it's an excellent game. I know that's a very self-serving thing to say. It's my first ever commercial product. Everything else I've made, I've designed intentionally to just hand out to the public for free. This is the first time I've ever made something to say I'm going to put it on the open market and see if we can sell it. And I think it's worthy of that. I still constantly play it, and I'm having, every time I do, I'm having fun doing so. I can get lost in it for hours, and despite the fact that I've put in thousands upon thousands of hours playing it. So I'm excited to have the public see that and hopefully have people appreciate that. I'm also excited to have it sort of be a throwback in some ways to the older style of arcade games. If you look at the modern shoot 'em ups, they evolved in a very different pattern. They get to the point where you can pick up power-ups and you shoot out, say, 6 or 7 beams in 8 different directions, and there are very different sensibilities, as opposed to here it's one shot, one kill. You're deliberately aiming, and maybe you're covering the sky with auto fire, but you're still deliberately trying to hit with a single bullet and trying to dodge individual things that you can concretely see and dodge, which is different from the way games sort of evolved in this genre. More of a throwback to the early 80s in terms of style, if not in terms of production value. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to have it out there. It's nice to have a game that I can say definitively, hey, I'm done. My most popular game, I have a ton of games on the internet, the most popular one I've been working on for 25 years, and it's been put out there. And it just keeps getting updated and updated for 25 years, and probably updated for another 25. So there's that sense of always, there's more to do. There will always be more to do. I'll be on my deathbed and I'll still be coding that Caverns of Zescasian too. But this one here, it's pretty much done, and I'm excited to have the world see it. And yeah, I want to pick up the knowledge I've gotten through Unity and try my hand at a different project, whether that be another strategy game like my old style games, or whether that be a sort of a first-person Wing Commander style game. I'm excited to see what I can do with the new tools I've acquired.
Yeah. Are you starting to think different as well? So you kind of mentally, if you have an idea or something like this, that's a video game idea versus oh, this would be a good film idea or TV idea. Are you kind of mentally compartmentalizing now like that?
I think I always was. As I say, people know me for my acting. They know me for my writing. Most don't know that I actually spent, 5 or 6 hours a day, every day for the last 30 years coding video games as well. So it's been a main part of my life. It's just been more of a private, low key part until now, until I've taken my first steps into the professional realm. But I was always, segregating things into, hey, I want to make this game someday. And that's, there's a huge list of games I'd like to tackle that I was mulling, 20 years ago. It's just a question of picking the one that'll be most suited to utilize the things I've learned here. So I'm not starting from scratch.
Yeah, and so Stop the Saturnians is on Steam now, and it's going to be coming out in 2022. Is that the plan?
Yeah, Stop the Saturnians is up on Steam. It'll be coming out in either February or March. I'm just sort of fine-tuning the exact date, but it'll be one of those 2 months for sure.
Okay, that's super exciting. Like, that's a great accomplishment.
Oh, thank you very much, man.
Yeah. And do you have any more acting anything coming up, or is there anything you can kind of talk about or share, or is it everything undercover, or
Nothing's undercover. COVID did slam the industry a bit for a while. And I'll be honest, it sort of slowed down for me in the few months leading up to December. It always dies. December and January it did. It's just the nature of the industry every year. But I'll be honest, a couple of months leading into December were kind of slow for me too. So I'm hoping that 2022 will start things up again, because to be honest, through the pandemic up until about August, September, things were cooking. It was going great, but they sort of slowed down then. So hopefully 2022 is going to reverse that course.
And where can people find, either people or gamers, find you online to talk about the games, to talk about acting, anything nerdy and fun like that?
I am on Twitter at Jeff Sinasac. Also on Instagram, I believe at Jeff Sinasac. I should double check. I don't know. I don't use Instagram a lot. I'm on Facebook. You can find me under Jeff Sinasac, actor/writer. Or I think there's a way to communicate directly on Steam on the Stop the Saturnians page as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations. As you said, the video game is Stop the Saturnians, and it will be out in early 2022. And thank you, Jeff, for hanging out. We covered quite a bit that if you die, humanity dies, which was a lot of pressure for a cadet.
Yep.
And that you like these old school classic games, Space Invaders, Asteroids, Missile Command. And
absolutely,
that there are some jokes peppered throughout the video game, which is pretty cool too.
Yes.
Right? That's it. I think we covered quite a bit. Is that right?
Cool. Yeah, sounds good to me, man. If it sounds good to you.
Yeah. You can go hang out with the cats now, or
All right, will do.
Yo, that was writer, director, actor, now video game developer, Jeff Sinasac. That dude's going to need a bigger business card. My business card is simple. I'm Sammy, host of My Summer Lair. At the time we recorded this interview, Jeff said early 2022. I can confirm the game Stop the Saturnians is out now on Steam. It came out February 18, 2022. Check it out. It's so fun to go back to a classic arcade style video game. Let me know what your high score is or how many levels you successfully completed. Are you able to save humanity? If you die, humanity dies. Let me know at My Summer Lair for IG, Facebook, and Twitter. My Summer Lair for IG, Facebook, and Twitter. Thank you so much for listening to me in a Netflix world. Saturn, yo.